It's been said that you shouldn't duck a punch in MMA because you'd be putting your head too close to your opponent's legs and you'll get kneed in the face.
Well, you really don't see as much like the whole Smoking Joe Frazier thing. You don't see that in MMA as much because of
absolutely, because of the knee.
You're gonna eat the knee.
I've heard that from other martial arts YouTubers, I've heard that in comments, and I've heard that in real life from multiple different striking coaches. They're all wrong. None of them have thought it through, and I'm going to explain why. The thrust of their argument is that ducking a punch, or bobbing, works perfectly well in boxing but doesn't work in MMA because you're lining your face up with their knee. There are two big problems with this argument. The first problem is that in order to throw a punch that's worth ducking, you almost always have to shift your weight forward. In order to throw a knee, you have to have your weight back. And anyone that's halfway competent is not going to duck a punch and stay there. They're going to bob or weave and come right back up. You would have to read their defense, retract your punch, shift your weight, and throw your knee all before they begin resetting their head. You would have to throw a punch and a knee on almost the same beat. I'm not going to say that can't be done, but I am going to say I've never seen anyone do it. What I have seen is an absolute crap ton of high-level fighters ducking under punches and not eating a knee. Realistically, there are two ways you could reasonably land that knee strike. Either your opponent is so slow that this entire fight is a joke, or you anticipate their head movement, feint a punch, and immediately shift your weight back for a knee strike. And yeah, if you can anticipate your opponent's defense, set up feints, and exploit their reactions, you can land a lot of things. It doesn't mean they made a mistake, it just means you outsmarted them. The other reason a knee strike off of a bob or weave isn't a problem is because the ever-present threat of a takedown. When someone ducks your punch, they could just be ducking and coming back up, or they could be throwing a reactive takedown. If they're just ducking, you could potentially use feints to set them up to get kneed in the head. But if they're throwing a takedown off their duck, your knee strike is probably going to miss their head because their forward motion is going to smother your leg. And shifting your weight back to throw a knee at them is basically going to guarantee you get dumped on your butt. Once you throw a potential takedown in the mix, the risk of even trying to set up that knee strike becomes more than most people are willing to chance. The misconception that you can't duck punches in MMA may stem from bobs and weaves being much less common in sports like Muay Thai. It's worth noting that it can still be used in Muay Thai, but it is admittedly less common. This is because not only can you not threaten a wrestling takedown, but Muay Thai fighters are also standing in a way that allows them to throw the knee much more quickly. MMA fighters stand low and long in order to grapple. Because of this, they tend to be very front leg heavy. Muay Thai fighters, on the other hand, tend to be very upright and back leg heavy. This makes it easier for them to throw and check kicks. When their weight is already shifted back, it makes it much easier to throw a quick knee. This upright back leg heavy posture also makes it more difficult to duck punches because ducking a punch would require shifting your weight forward and lowering your level. Ducking punches is still a legitimate tactic for a Thai fighter to use, but it is a little bit harder, which makes it less common. Overall, it's extremely unlikely you're going to eat a knee while ducking a punch, and if you do, it's probably because your opponent was way better than you anyway. You can definitely bob and weave in MMA, you just can't hang out down there because that's when you're going to eat a knee.